Happy Tuesday, everybody. So, another live class, Tuesday night class. We've done a couple of these already, and I think it's been pretty fun. So, this topic for tonight is the Essential Oils 101. So, it's a basic class which gives you a high-level overview of sort of the fundamentals of what oils are, what they're not, and the safe way to use them. We'll talk about the top 10 oils, the ones that are most commonly used, how to use those, talk a little bit about sourcing and the importance of quality when you're choosing your essential oils. And so we'll dig into that. And then there's a bunch of other classes that sort of go into more detail. So there's classes for skin, there's classes for sleep, there's classes, we're going to do a women's class at the end of the month that really looks at women's issues, that being sort of how you can use oils to support hormones and menstrual cramps and all those sorts of things that that we're so blessed to deal with. But this one's going to be a high-level overview and a great introduction for those of you who are new to the oil community. So first, let's start with what oils are and what they are not. So essential oils are not actually oils at all, not in the traditional sense of like an olive oil or a jojoba oil or something that would actually then have an oily texture, and is generally through pressing a seed. Essential oils are actually the essence of a plant. So when we say that, say, lemon oil has an antibacterial property, it's because we are harnessing the plant's natural defense mechanism. So we will harness essential oils from different parts of the plant. So it might be the seed, the leaf, the stem, the root, the bark, the flower. It comes from different parts. So it's not as though you take the whole plant and then, sort of whip it through a big processor and it pops some essential oils. It's very strategically done. There's a lot of science that goes behind deciding what parts of the plant you want to use for sort of which purposes, which properties we want that oil to have. And in some instances, different parts of the plant will be used for different things. And some, so for example, rose oil, you're always using the petals, but for lemon oil, you're actually using the rind. So it just depends on what you're trying to harness. And like I said, it's the essence of the plant. So it's not an oil at all. And you'll actually notice too, when you put a drop of the oil on, so this is actually a little bit of lemon if you drop this on, and it runs pretty fast. It's quite liquidy actually. So hi Leanne, hi Michelle, great to see you guys. So we've got people watching from Canada, from Barbados. It's pretty exciting. I love this idea of a virtual class that I can include everybody who normally can't make it to my living room. So this is great. Hi. Okay, so that's the basics of what oils are and aren't. Certainly we're looking for, when we use an essential oil, we're looking to harness the essence and all of those wonderful properties that those plants have. So the antibacterial, antiviral, antimicrobial, all of those properties, that's what we're harnessing. Hi, Cindy. All right, so we want to talk about 3 cool things about essential oils. So the first thing is that they are 100% safe and natural. So what that means is safe and natural and safe for everyone. So essential oils can be used from babies to the elderly. They can be used for pets. We talked about pets and kids actually on the class last week. So there's so many different ways to use them, and because they are natural, they really do work synergistically with everyone, because we are nature too. So there's a great synergy there for us, and they're 50 to 70% stronger than herbs. So because you're really harnessing that essence, and when you distill the oil, you're capturing. It becomes a very small molecule, so they're actually aromatic. So if you left the cap off of this lemon, it would evaporate quite quickly. And so that's also why we talk about aromatherapy and the aromatics of oils as well. And so it is an aromatic compound, so it is a very small molecule, and it also helps it then when you take them internally or you put them on topically, they absorb and they work that much faster, and they are stronger than trying to consume a lot of herbs. So something like a turmeric is a good example of that. You can have 1 drop of turmeric, or you'd have to have several tablespoons of turmeric powder, which is maybe not really a great thing to have to ingest. A little bit in a curry is nice, but tablespoons of it to support your immune system, maybe not quite what you're after. So so more effective than modern approaches. So we say that again because of the way that the oils can work in your body, and it said that they are very tiny molecules, which actually allows them to travel around the body and permeate cells in a different way than traditional medicine does. So it's really important to think about the alternatives to modern medicine as a first sort of protocol. We operate in an environment where people are very quick to just take an Advil or something for a headache, when instead of considering, well, maybe I'm dehydrated, or maybe I just need to get some fresh air, or maybe I just need to take a couple deep breaths and relax because I've just got a lot of head tension. And you can also then apply a little bit of peppermint to your temples, and that will help relieve some of the tension. So thinking about what you can do as an alternative approach to sort of our traditional options. And the essential oils can actually be cheaper than traditional options. So for example, you can have an earache, or sort of an ear infection of some sort, and a tea tree, so melaleuca and lavender together work really well to help with that type of condition. So instead of going to the clinic and asking, getting an appointment to look at an ear infection, and spending money on your deductible and the time and whatever that takes, and then getting some sort of ointment or antibiotic, you can try lavender and tea tree first. And it's not always that it's always going to solve the problem, but it's certainly a first defense. It's a first place to start, and that's certainly what we're trying to achieve by having our oils and being able to utilize them as our first protocol, because often they will work, and they work wonderfully, and they don't come with side effects. And so you wake up in the morning having tried a little bit of the tea tree and lavender for your earache, you wake up in the morning and it's gone, and now you've saved yourself the inconvenience of trying to get an appointment, and also taking antibiotics and all the side effects and things that go along with that. So quite simply, and to do that, if you were looking to use this for an ear infection, you never want to put oils directly into orifices, I guess is what I call them. So not in your eyes or up your nose or in your ears, those sorts of things. But you can put a couple drops of tea tree on a cotton ball and set that inside the ear, and then maybe a drop of tea tree and a drop of lavender, and then just rub them in behind the ear and sleep on it and see how you do. And so 9 times out of 10, these things will take care of themselves if we're just kind to our bodies and we support them in the right way. So when we look at, we're going to kind of just run through the top 10 oils. This one, by far my favorite oil. I use this daily for so many things. So this is peppermint, and is a very unique peppermint. I've used peppermint oil before from other sources, and there's nothing like a doTERRA peppermint. I challenge you to do a sniff test because it really is remarkable in aroma and in taste. So I add this to my smoothie in the morning. Most mornings I will make a chocolate smoothie, so some protein powder and some almond milk and some avocado, and then I will throw in a scoop of protein powder, I think I said that already, and then a little bit of raw cacao powder and 2 drops of peppermint, and then I make this mint chip smoothie, which is delicious. I also roll this on the back of my neck and my wrists in the morning when I wake up, because I usually am on my way to the gym, and that kind of also invigorates me, kind of gives you a little bit of a pep. It's also great after the gym in a little spritz to sort of cool the body down. So it's one of my favorite oils. I use it multiple times through the day, and it's great for headaches, head tension, even nausea. So in the car, we were at the cottage in the summer, and we are carrying the garbage to the dump in the back of the car, and my daughter gets car sick pretty easily, and so between the smell and the hills on the country roads, she was just sitting there with a roller ball of peppermint under her nose the trip, and it really goes a long way. So if you have to make a dump run, take the peppermint with you. So peppermint's one of my favorites for sure. Another fan favorite, and certainly right now, is On Guard. And On Guard is an immune support blend. So this has cinnamon, clove, eucalyptus, wild orange, and rosemary, and it is amazing. I am currently right now rolling it. I have a roller ball. So when I talk about a roller ball, it's basically this. So it's pre-diluted, and I'll talk about dilution shortly. But it's already pre-diluted, and there's a little metal roller on the top, and you literally just roll that on. So it makes the application for the oils really easy. And so this I'll roll up and down my spine right now for immune support. And also comes in a gel cap as a capsule. So again, we'll talk a little bit about ingesting oils and the safe way to do that shortly. But this is certainly one of those oils that I love to use daily, and especially right now and in any type of season where you're looking for immune support. This is also the basis of a lot of the other products that doTERRA does, in terms of it's a mouthwash and a toothpaste. Both use this blend in that formula, and the reason is because clove works well from an oral hygiene perspective, and neither the mouthwash is alcohol free and the toothpaste is fluoride free. So again, you're not getting any of the extra stuff in these products. You're just getting the essential oils and the necessary ingredients to make them work. But as I said, On Guard is amazing, and to me it smells like Christmas, so it's one of the ones I diffuse a lot just because I really love the aroma of it. I wish, and I'm sure in a couple of years from now, Facebook's going to have a scratch and sniff version, so I really wish you guys could smell this. And I know some of you already do have your oils, so I'm sure you can also vouch for the lovely aroma of On Guard. So hey Alex, hi Alicia, see you guys there. All right, so then when we look at gonna look at, say, something like tea tree. Again, we talked about that one for an ear infection, but this is also really great for skin and hair. So one of those ones that it has a little bit of a medicinal smell to it, but works great for first aid as well. So any sort of little cuts and scrapes, things like that, you can definitely use it for that. And I said it's also really great for hair and skin. I know this is a great one to make a small roller ball with lavender and tea tree as well. Melaleuca and tea tree are the same thing. Sorry if I use the words interchangeably. Make that together in a little roll ball, and that works really great for any sort of acne or skin challenges. So we make that in our house for my teenage daughters. So when they remember to use it, that's kind of half the battle with this stuff is, guys, I'm doing these classes because even though I know some of you two have your oils already, I mean, it's just really great reminders to think of all the things that you can do with them. And I even have, I have one of those pretty little wood boxes, but it doesn't make sense to keep them in the box, right? You got to take them out and experiment and use them. And I have them in all the rooms in my house too. So I have a couple in the laundry room that I add to the roller balls. I have some in the kitchen. I have some in the bathroom. I have some on my desk. I have them where I'm going to use them, because if you always have to go back to one place, to get them, then chances are you just kind of forget about them and you just keep doing what you've normally done. So, okay, so lavender. Lavender is probably one of the most common oils. I think everybody has smelt lavender before in one way or shape or another. It used to be really popular when poopery was a thing. So this one is just sort of all things calming. If you think of calming, so calming from an irritation perspective, again, so sunburn, even, like a stove burn or something, you could put a couple drops of lavender on there, but also calming to your emotions, and it's soothing. So this is, again, one of those ones you would use for nighttime, something before bed. There is a blend called Serenity that's specifically meant for nighttime diffusing, but which also has lavender in it, but also some other chamomile and vetiver, some other oils as well. But straight up lavender can work perfectly well. This is a great one for a bedtime routine for your kids, for little ones. Taking a little bit of a drop, rubbing it on your hands, you can sort of massage it into their hair, on their temples, roll it on the bottom of their feet, do a little foot massage before bed with a couple drops of lavender, and it's really nice. It's calming for them. It can be like a little bonding ritual. I know a lot of parents have told me now, they start something like that with their kids, and now their kids ask for the oils. It's like part of their bedtime routine, and it is really effective in helping them calm down. Of course, a couple drops in the tub at bath time, that sort of thing. I said there's a couple user guides, one that I'm working on just now that has sort of like the top 10 uses for lavender, but literally there's like 100 uses for lavender. If you haven't downloaded one of the apps, there's a few apps that I usually recommend. And one is just called The Essential Life, and you can go type in lavender and it will give you the laundry list of things that lavender is good for. Also, there is the Essential Basics book, so it comes in this size, comes in a larger sort of coffee table size book, and they're both really great reference material. And again, they sort of give you all the oils individually, what they can be used for. And then similarly, when you're looking at you're then looking at conditions, so something, for example, like first aid, and it would list the different types of oils and how you might use them for a first aid situation. And similarly, I think this one is for energy and vitality and what that would look like. So there's so many resources, and that's what I like to say is, you get your top 10 oils and you just play with them. And every time there is a something, go, okay, what is an alternative to what I traditionally do or use? And you can go to your reference tool, you can go to your app, you can go to a book, you can ask me, just say, hey, I want an oil for this, what would I do? And there's not just one answer either, which is the beauty of these things, is that a lot of the oils share similar chemical constituents. So like I said, for example, with Serenity, you have vetiver, chamomile, lavender. All of them share a calming property because of the chemical constituents of that plant, right? And so if you don't have, 3 of the things they list in a recipe, then just use the other 2. It doesn't really matter. You don't always have to have, this massive collection, which I do because I love my oils. But to even just have a simple kit with, the top 10 and maybe 1 or 2 other favorites is really all you need to get started and just give you that confidence to try new things and keep experimenting. So, all right, so we said we'll talk about the 3 ways to use essential oils. So the first one, and generally the one that most people start with, is diffusing. So you have a diffuser, which I have one little one here. This is the one in my daughter's room. I'm in her room right now because it seems to be a quiet place in the house. But this is one that she has, looks like a little glass egg. But they come in all different shapes and sizes. I love the ones that doTERRA has. They are beautiful. There's one called Volo, which is new, and it's really nice. So that's the one I have in my kitchen. And then sometimes I just order some on Amazon. and just so that I get different ones that match different rooms in the house. So they're aesthetically pleasing, but they're also lovely. And what diffusing does is a few things. So one, it will clean the air. It has the ability to actually detox your air, but also can influence your mood. So I love to diffuse something citrusy in the kitchen in the morning. It's nice and cleansing, and it also just uplifts your mood. Something generally I try to do a grapefruit. I also really love lemongrass in the morning as well. I find that pretty uplifting and invigorating. So diffusing is a great way to purify the air, lift your emotions, but also can help from a respiratory perspective. So there's a blend called Breathe. It is designed, it's called the respiratory blend, so it is meant to open your airways. Now certainly a peppermint just on its own is very effective for that, but Breathe is designed for that. So one of those things that you can use if you're feeling like you're a little congested, you can put the diffuser on and a little bit of Breathe and have that diffusing at bedtime, and it's really, really great. It's good for people who snore. That can be really effective. A little bit of Breathe either on the chest, a little bit under the nose, and my husband gets this on his side of the bed, and I have Serenity going on my side of the bed. So we have two diffusers in our bedroom going all night. Well, not all night, but you set them a little bit before you get into bed, so the aroma's in the air, and then they run dry and turn off. But yes, so there's so many different ways to use the oils for an inhalation or aromatic experience. Then you get topical application. So we talked about lavender, which is great topically. Deep blue is probably one that you would use solely topically. So there is a childproof cap on this one. If you can see a little bit different type of cap. Definitely means it is not for ingesting, so we'll talk about ingesting just next, but this is Deep Blue is the soothing blend. So this is sort of like a muscle relaxer for aches and pains and just general sore muscles after working out. A really nice one just even to put on the back of your neck and your shoulders at the end of the day from sort of hunching over your computer. This is really a great one for that. So topical application. With topical application, you always want to consider dilution. And when we talked about last week, we talked about kids and pets. You would dilute differently based on body mass. So for kids and pets that are generally smaller than adults, I know there are some pets that maybe aren't, but I was thinking some friends have a Great Dane dog, and it's this massive dog. Anyway, so we're just looking at how you would dilute. And so when I showed you the roller ball is pre-diluted. So this is pre-diluted in a safe ratio of oil to fractionated coconut oil. And that might look like, say, 40 drops of essential oil to the rest of this topped up with fractionated coconut oil for an adult, and for a child that might actually be like 5 drops to the rest in fractionated coconut oil. Now there are charts to use depending on the dilution that you're looking for and the type of oil. Some oils, like a lavender, can be applied directly onto the skin, so we call that neat, without irritation for the most part. But something like an oregano, that's actually quite a spicy oil. So most of the spices that you would think, clove, cinnamon, oregano, those ones are generally quite spicy or hot to the skin. Now, doesn't always mean it's going to cause irritation. It just means some people could be more sensitive to it, especially young children whose skin is just a little bit thinner and more delicate, right? So when we talk about dilution, there are different ratios. A good rule of thumb for an adult application is like a quarter size of oil into your palm and 1 to 2 drops of oil, and that's it. And then you would apply. You never less is more when it comes to applying your oils, either topically or internally or diffusing. These oils are super concentrated and they're pure essential oils. So they pack a punch, right? And less is more. You're better to put on a couple drops and then wait a couple hours. And if you still feel like you need more, then apply more then. Anything you put on your skin is absorbed into your body and sort of is flowing through your bloodstream and in through all your cells. Your body still needs to process that. So you don't want to overwhelm it by putting too much in at any one time. You just want to be able to give it the support it needs and then, reapply again a little bit later. So don't feel as though, adding 5 or 6 drops is going to work any better. You're better to do a couple drops and repeat through the day. Okay, so then we talk a little bit about internal use of essential oils. And the caveat here is that there is lots of people who would tell you that it's dangerous, that you should never do it. And that is absolutely true without the right guidance and without the right oils. So I would never tell anybody to ingest any oil that isn't doTERRA because I am confident that I know what's in this bottle. I know that this bottle of lemon is nothing but lemon. That does not hold true for everything that you can buy on the market, and that is for something you buy online or something you buy at the supermarket or what have you. There is no regulation over the essential oil industry, which means that the companies have to self-regulate and they have to be transparent about what they're putting in the bottle. And that being said, so you can go to the grocery, buy a lavender that says it's 100% pure, and it could be 5% lavender and a bunch of other stuff that makes it smell like lavender. So that is the rule when it comes to ingesting oils, is you absolutely have to know what you're getting. So something like lemon, so this would be one of these things that we would do a couple drops in water in the morning, right? So in the morning, I always like to start with a citrus, which is really nice and refreshing in my diffuser, but equally so for your body. It's really cleansing. It helps kickstart your digestive system. So what I'll do is I actually squeeze half a lemon, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and some warm water, and I chug that first, and then I'll add a couple drops of a citrus oil to my water. So I always try to rehydrate in the morning. Generally, I'm using green mandarin these days. That seems to be my favorite citrus right now. So I know that's the case. If you've tried the green mandarin, it will soon become your favorite. But there is tangerine, grapefruit, lime, lemon, wild orange. There's so many citrus options. So you just find the one that you like, or you mix and match, and it actually really helps some people drink more water as well through the day. Again, you don't want to overdo it. Like a drop is plenty for a nice glass water bottle. Again, when you put oils in a water, please don't use plastic because the oils will leach the plastic. So you always want to drink your water out of a glass or stainless steel water bottle, especially if you're putting oils in them. So yes, there's all kinds of different ways to ingest oils. I talked earlier about putting peppermint in my smoothie. It makes the peppermint is great to add into brownies or any sort of like baking that you do. You can use wild orange in a smoothie. I always really like that one too. So a vanilla smoothie with a couple drops of wild orange kind of has that creamsicle flavor to it, which is really great. So there's lots of different ways to incorporate oils into cooking, and that will be a separate class as well. So so tune in for that one when we get to it. But yes, there's so many different ways to use the oils internally. And I talked earlier too about how On Guard comes in a gel cap. And what that's meant to do then is, sort of deliver the benefits of the oil to you internally, which works a little bit faster and a little bit differently than just the topical application. One thing I should say too about the ingesting of the oils. So every bottle will have, and it's super hard to read. It's very tiny because it's a little bottle, but there is something here that talks about for internal use, dilute in 4 fluid ounces of water, or 4 fluid ounces of liquid, right? And so if it doesn't say that, then it's not meant to be ingested. It will always tell you the guidance for ingesting if it's meant to be ingested. The other thing is when we're talking about quality and sourcing, on the bottom, if you can see, there's like a little number imprinted on the bottom of this bottle. That is where you can go and type in on a website called Source to You. So that's doTERRA's own website that is all about their sourcing. And you type in this number onto the website and it'll tell you everything you want to know about this bottle of oil, what's in it, in terms of, so this one is a blend, so it talks about the different oils that are in it, the chemical constituents of those oils, and then all the testing that's done on it and when. So you have full transparency as to what is in that bottle, and that is totally unique to doTERRA in the marketplace. All right, so we talked a little bit about the aromatics, so a couple of the favorites being Breathe. Again, one of the other ways to use Breathe aromatically, and if you're not feeling great or you're coming down with a little bit of something sinus, is you can just take a bowl of like warm steamy water, put a couple drops in there, and you do like one of those little tents with the tea towel and the hot water, and that's a great way to open up your airways again and just do some really nice inhalations. Digest Zen. Okay, so this is one of my favorite oils as well. I tend to use this one as a gel cap. So this is the digestive blend. It's really great for any sort of indigestion, heartburn, motion sickness, that sort of thing. And I know a good friend, called me one day and she's like, okay, I keep hearing about this digestion and you have to get me some. And she was sort of newly pregnant, going through all of her sort of morning sicknesses, and she's like, I hear that this works great, I need to try it. And so got her a sample of some digestion, and she literally just put a couple drops in the palm of her hand, rubbed it over her tummy, and she would feel better and the nausea would sort of subside. And she did it a few times before she believed that it was actually the oil working. But you just have to try it, and then you're convinced it works wonderfully. And I will always use this if I am going to have some curry for takeout, or Mexican, or any of those spicy foods. I do not do well with spice. And so if I have a Digest Zen just before I have any of that, then I never have any issues. And certainly for motion sickness, I said that's another great one. If you are like me and you do get motion sickness from sitting in the backseat of the car, or on a bus, or on a cruise ship, or any of the places that you can get motion sickness, that's me. So having some Digestion available is great. And this is sort of all the things you would expect to be in a digestive blend. So it's peppermint, ginger, fennel, and so it actually smells like black licorice. That's the fennel coming out. And again, so some people don't love that smell, and so you just use the gel cap and then you don't have to smell it. It also works well in a tea, so you could put a drop in some warm water and drink that, have it that way as well. So again, there's lots of options. If you don't have all the things, you don't have the gel caps, you don't have all the oils, there's so many different ways to be able to be resourceful. And that's what we're trying to do, is empower people to sort of own their healthcare, own their well-being, and know that they have these sort of natural tools in their toolbox to really up their wellness. So frankincense. Okay, so this one is frankincense is what we call the king of oils. It's one of those ones that, if in doubt, just use frankincense. It has so many amazing properties. It really can facilitate calming of sort of the central nervous system. It's anti-aging. It has all these amazing properties, but frankincense is probably one of the oils that most people most know from biblical times, but that holds true for most oils. Essential oils have been used for thousands of years. Cleopatra was passionate about her essential rose oil. So, frankincense is one of those things. It's been around forever, and has so many wonderful properties. And we are now just starting to get the hang of all the beautiful things that these oils can do for us, and bring them into our own sort of wellness. So skincare, great one for skincare. Anything that, the reference tools cover a lot on frankincense. There's a lot of stuff that I can't say about frankincense publicly, but I would refer you to PubMed, which is a medical journal website, and there's all kinds of research there about frankincense and the different types of things that it can be used for, and how supportive it can be for our bodies. Okay, so we talked a little bit already about the testing and the quality, and so about the number on the bottom. You can see anything you want to know about that particular bottle. One of the other things that I find so amazing about the way doTERRA does business is called co-impact sourcing. And that is the relationship and the community that they build with the farmers. So this is, again, really important in that supply chain. If you want a quality essential oil, you have to start with a quality plant. And that comes from sourcing plants indigenously, right? So sourcing them from where those things naturally grow. So their citrus are coming from Brazil, the lavender from France, the frankincense harvested in Somalia. Like, these things are being harvested in the place in the world where they grow naturally. And what that does is give them the right soil conditions, the right environmental conditions for that plant to have the right chemical constituents, which then means it works the way it's supposed to, right? So what they do is they create these co-impact relationships with the farmers. So they don't go out and buy up land and then just plant some stuff on it and hope for the best, because doTERRA, they're not farmers. They know how to create essential oils. So they leave the farming to the people who've been farming the land for like hundreds of years, generations in most instances. And they create these beautiful relationships with these communities. They make sure that the kids are, that there are schools and water, proper water sources and things like that, that really grow these communities so that they can thrive, and so that the supply is there to create the oils for us. So it's really amazing. And what you'll find if you dig into it is that most essential oil companies are working through brokers. So there is somebody somewhere growing lavender, wherever that might be, and the oil, the plant matter, or the oil even sometimes gets sold through a broker, and then the broker sells it to the essential oil company. And what that does is, one, it takes money away from the farmers, and two, it creates an opportunity for compromise. So what that means is that, because we talked about the market not being regulated, there is a lot of opportunity for adulteration of oils in the marketplace. Some of that's intentional and some of it is not. Some people have the right intentions and they're trying to create a pure product, but they don't know what's happened in that supply chain. doTERRA knows exactly what's happened through the entire supply chain, because it's just the farmer to doTERRA's distilleries. So it's really the best sourcing model. And doTERRA's farmers on average get about 5 times more based on that, because they're able to cut out the middleman. The farmers are getting paid on time and they're getting paid fairly. And that's super important for me to come, out every Tuesday night and to talk to you who are, all of my friends and people that trust me. I needed to understand really what I was dealing with. And I said, from the first introduction to doTERRA, I've never been disappointed in the heart of the company and the purity in terms of their intentions and what they're producing. And we like to say, it's on both sides of the bottle, right? There is benefit for us because we use these beautiful essential oils to keep ourselves well, but the benefit is also to those communities that we're impacting financially. And the stories, if you do go onto that Source2You website, it is beautiful. There's all of the sort of co-impact sourcing stories. So it'll talk about, there's an oil called pink pepper, and it's sourced in Kenya, and it'll tell you about the story about how that came to be and how that relationship between doTERRA and that farming community grew, and how the women in the community were then able to go back to work, and so the kids could then get back to school, and it's just beautiful. And there's so many heartfelt stories like that are behind these little bottles that is what really fires me up. So I encourage you to check that website out for sure. And then really doTERRA is also just part of this bigger revolutionizing sort of healthcare, right? So I think there's a firm recognition that healthcare in many countries is broken. We're too heavily dependent on medications, which then we're dependent on another medication because there's side effects that we're trying to counterbalance. And I literally cannot watch any more of those commercials that have those like little silent side effects on the backside of them, and it goes on and on and on. So you try to solve one problem and you end up with 30 other issues. So we're trying to change healthcare. We're trying to say you have these natural solutions at your disposal, try them first. And doTERRA is actually opening these health clinics. They've started in the US, and it's called Prime Meridian. And effectively, Prime Meridian is where East meets West, right? So you have Eastern medicine and Western medicine coming together. And so these are integrative clinics. They're going to have Western trained medical doctors in these clinics, or they do. And they are, they're board certified integrative specialists who do, regular medicine, but also understand how to supply people with natural solutions. So how to incorporate oils. So like I said, for the earache, let's try that first. Let's go tea tree lavender first, sleep on it, see how you feel in the morning. If not, we'll investigate further. But, or anything like that, like a little bit of indigestion. I don't need to take something that's actually then just going to compromise the bacteria in my stomach, or, anything else like that. I want something that's supporting my body, not breaking it down. So there's so much we can do from a healthcare perspective to really benefit ourselves, and as said, with the sourcing model, benefit so many other lives, impact so many other lives. So touched a little bit again on resources. So I have the book, there's the app, there's podcasts. There's so many podcasts from our community. We have so many different practitioners in doTERRA. So we have hormone specialists who are integrative doctors. We have psychologists. We have chiropractors. We have so many different modalities. We have a whole veterinary panel. There's so many people that integrate the oils into what they already do. And so they make amazing resources for all of us, right? So I'm learning too. And as I go, I'm constantly, learning a new tip or a trick or something to try. In fact, when I was away at conference, a friend of mine said, oh, hey, because I'm prone to sinus infections, and I have been for years. And I used to get 3 to 4 sinus infections a year, to the point of which then the ENT said, okay, well, you're going to have to probably have surgery. And I'm like, he described the surgery and it was so gross. I was like, I don't know, I think I'll just deal with it. But I was also having to go on antibiotics every time I had this sinus infection to clear it up. And it was not great. And when I discovered oils and started being really proactive about my healthcare, and knowing that as soon as I started feeling a sinus infection coming on, I started doing a nasal rinse. I started using my Breathe and all of the things that I was doing to support it. I've not yet had a sinus infection that I didn't nip in the butt within the first couple of days, and I've not had to take an antibiotic for years for anything. But it's just, I said, being empowered to know what to do. And so I felt one coming on, and we were away and traveling, and so I didn't have all my tools. And he's like, oh, well, actually Digest Zen, which is the digestive blend, for some reason works wonderfully on sinuses. So you literally take a couple drops and you just tap it around the sinuses like this. And I'm like, okay, great, I'll try that. And sure enough, helped, clear it up within a couple days. The sinus pressure was gone. So there's just, like I said, we have this amazing community, and that's what we love to do, is we just love to share all of our tips and tricks and healthy habits and hacks. So that's it. I think I kind of touched on a little bit of all of the basic oils, and there's a few different ways to sort of start, I said, and I think the easiest one to do is get a little diffuser, get your top 10 oils, and then you build out from there. There is a supplement line, a vitamin supplement line that is phenomenal in doTERRA. I don't miss it. Not a day do I go without my supplements, which is a whole other class as well when we talk about healthy habits. But just getting a basic kit that starts you off, and then you just learn to sort of explore and have fun with it. So for those of you who have your kit, I hope you've been inspired to try one new trick in your oil toolbox. And for those of you who don't have oils yet and you're interested, let me know. I would love to. The site name, PubMed, Pubmed. So PubMed. Somebody was asking what that website was for the frankincense research, and it's pretty researchy, like it's a medical journal thing, but you can get the gist of what they're trying to tell you about the powerful aspects of frankincense. And Michelle, I can send you some other stuff as well. But actually, one of the great things on doTERRA's website, you just go to doTERRA.com and you go type in an oil, and then you'll come up usually with some options. One will be the oil itself, so where it retails sort of thing, but then there's also something called a blog, and they do blog posts on a lot of the different oils, and that some of those are really great reference tools as well. But like I said, anything that you guys are looking for, happy to send you a link, send you in the right direction, and I said happy to help you get started with your kit. Just give me a shout, message me, send me an email, whatever. And yeah, so I think we'll wrap it up there. Try to keep these classes short and sweet, and then we'll do one, I said, next Tuesday night again. I said, and always on a different topic, a little deeper dive into some of the other aspects of using your oils. But yeah, so thanks for coming out tonight, guys. Hope everybody is enjoying lockdown in whatever version that is taking for you, and taking some time to do some fun stuff like this. And I said I certainly have actually enjoyed being able to get out in front of, I said, some of you who I don't often get to have in my living room. So awesome. Have an awesome night, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.